Digital Communications Log, Metronet Data Center. Date, March 15, 2025. Operator, Idris Vaughn, Senior Network Engineer. Shift, 6 to 1400 hours Eastern Standard Time. 6:15 morning system check. All primary servers operating within normal parameters. Bandwidth utilization at 67% of capacity across the metropolitan fiber network. Weekly maintenance scheduled for servers 12 to 18 completed without incident. Coffee maker and break room still broken, third day running. The overnight traffic logs show standard patterns. Peak residential usage dropped off at 2:30 as expected. Early morning business connections starting to ramp up. Nothing unusual in the automated alerts queue. 8:42, routine optimization. Implementing bandwidth reallocation for the financial district. Trading algorithms always consume more capacity during market open. Adjusted QoS settings to prioritize critical infrastructure. Hospitals, emergency services, government networks get guaranteed minimums regardless of commercial demand. Beckett Gray called from the telecommunications monitoring station downtown. Reports normal activity across cellular networks. Spring break season means increased video streaming, but infrastructure handling the load fine. We've got redundancy built into redundancy. 10:15, equipment inventory. Quarterly audit of backup equipment completed. Diesel generators tested last month. Fuel levels adequate for 72-hour independent operation if needed. UPS systems showing green across all racks. Spare fiber optic cables, network switches, and server components fully stocked in the secure storage area. Sora Elon finished the firewall updates on the Eastern District routers. Security patches deployed without disrupting service. The automated monitoring systems report all defensive measures functioning normally. Standard Tuesday maintenance completed ahead of schedule. 12:30, lunch break traffic analysis. Midday internet usage following predictable patterns. Streaming services peak, social media steady, e-commerce moderate. Government networks maintain their usual encrypted traffic levels. Military communications run their standard protocols through the dedicated lines. The Metropolitan Emergency Services Network shows routine testing patterns. They run diagnostic checks every Tuesday at 1300 hours. Police, fire, EMS, and hospital systems all reporting normal operational status through their dedicated bandwidth allocations. 1437, anomaly detection. Automated monitoring system flagged unusual encrypted data transfer. Single large file, 847 megabytes, routing through servers I don't recognize in our network topology. Source IP traces to a government subnet, but the routing path includes nodes that aren't in our official infrastructure map. Cross-reference the packet headers with standard government communication protocols. Encryption signature doesn't match any known federal agency standards. File completed transfer in 4.3 seconds. Indicates priority routing through channels that should require administrative authorization. Checked with system administrator privileges. No scheduled high-priority government transfers logged for today. No emergency communications authorized through our facility. The mysterious servers responding to ping requests, but showing no identification protocols. 1445, technical investigation. Attempted to trace the unusual routing path. The intermediate servers accept queries but return minimal information. Standard network archaeology techniques hitting dead ends. These systems exist in our infrastructure but operate outside normal administrative oversight. Called Beckett Gray at the Telecommunications Center. Asked him to check for similar anomalous traffic across other network providers. He confirmed increased encrypted government activity, but nothing matching the specific routing pattern I observed. Sora Elon reviewed the security logs. The encrypted transfer didn't trigger any intrusion detection systems. Clean authentication, proper certificates, legitimate access credentials. Technically authorized but procedurally unusual. 1520, documentation protocol. Filed incident report in the network anomaly database. Classified as unusual but authorized government activity. No security breach detected, no service disruption caused, no immediate action required. Standard protocol for unidentified government traffic. Monitor but don't interfere. We maintain the infrastructure, they manage the content. Our job is keeping the data flowing, not questioning what flows through it. 1600 hours, evening shift briefing. Handed off operations to evening shift supervisor. Briefed on the afternoon anomaly. Watch for similar routing patterns. provided access codes for the monitoring systems tracking the mysterious government servers. Evening traffic patterns beginning normal progression. Residential bandwidth usage increasing as people return home. Business networks reducing activity. Streaming services preparing for prime-time demand surge. 16:15, end of shift assessment. Infrastructure operating at optimal efficiency. All critical systems maintained, security protocols current, emergency capabilities verified. The data center serves as the communications backbone for 2.3 million metropolitan residents. The afternoon anomaly represents the only deviation from standard operations. Government networks frequently conduct classified activities through our infrastructure. Our responsibility is maintaining reliable service, not investigating legitimate users. Personal log entry. 23 years managing network infrastructure, first 15 in military communications, last 8 in civilian operations. Learned to recognize normal patterns and unusual variations. Today's anomaly falls within parameters of authorized government activity, but the routing methodology doesn't match established protocols. The encrypted data packet routing through servers that officially don't exist suggests either new government infrastructure integration or classified operations using alternative network pathways. Either explanation remains within standard operational expectations. Tomorrow's agenda: monitor for additional unusual routing patterns, complete the quarterly security audit, coordinate with Beckett Gray on citywide telecommunications status, and review Sora Elan's firewall optimization recommendations. Network operations continue. Infrastructure maintained. Systems secured. Network analysis report, Metronet Data Center. Date, March 16, 2025. Operator, Idris Vaughn, Senior Network Engineer. Shift, entre 6h et 14h. 6 o'clock, Priority Alert Assessment. Overnight monitoring systems detected 17 additional encrypted transfers using the same anomalous routing pattern identified yesterday. File sizes ranging from 200 megabytes to 1.2 gigabytes. All transfers completed between 2 to 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, when civilian network traffic reaches minimum levels. Cross-reference timestamps with government network activity logs. The transfers correlate with increased bandwidth allocation across multiple federal agency subnets. Department of Defense, Homeland Security, and emergency management networks all showing coordinated activity spikes. 7:30, telecommunications coordination. Beckett Gray contacted from downtown monitoring station. Reports similar anomalous encrypted activity across 3 other major network providers serving the metropolitan area. Pattern suggests coordinated operation, utilizing multiple infrastructure pathways simultaneously. Confirmed cellular network modifications implemented overnight. Emergency services bandwidth allocations increased by 300% across all carriers. Priority routing protocols activated for government communications. Changes implemented without standard advance notification to infrastructure providers. 9:15, secure channel detection. Sora Elan identified new encrypted communication channels established through our fiber optic network. Military-grade encryption signatures matching classified communication protocols. Channels operating parallel to standard government networks, but using separate authentication systems. Traced channel endpoints to federal facilities not previously connected through our infrastructure. Pentagon Communication Annex, NORAD Coordination Center, Strategic Command Backup Facility. Direct secure connections bypassing standard internet protocols. 10:45, anonymous source identification. Monitoring systems detected unauthorized access to classified government networks at 10:22 Eastern Standard Time. Unknown entity successfully penetrated multiple secure federal databases. Access duration, 3.7 minutes. Data extraction, 4.2 terabytes. Intercepted partial data transmission before security protocols terminated the breach. Fragments contain nuclear launch authorization codes, missile silo coordinates, and strategic strike protocols. Information accuracy verified against publicly available military installation data. 11:30, leaked distribution analysis. Anonymous source began distributing extracted classified data through encrypted peer-to-peer networks. Initial distribution targeted independent journalists, foreign intelligence services, and military analysis organizations. File sharing protocols designed to maximize distribution before detection. Track distribution pathways across international network infrastructure. Data packets routing through servers in 17 countries. Encryption methods preventing content analysis, but traffic patterns indicating systematic intelligence dissemination. 1215 Government response coordination. Federal agencies implementing emergency communication protocols in response to security breach. Military networks switching to alternative authentication systems. Civilian internet traffic being systematically monitored for classified data distribution. Beckett-Gray reports government requests for civilian network access logs. Law enforcement agencies coordinating with telecommunications providers to identify leak distribution pathways. Emergency services preparing for potential public response to classified information release. 1300 hours, operational timeline assessment. Analysis of leaked data fragments reveals operational timeline. Nuclear strike protocols contain 72-hour activation sequences. Missile silo coordination requires 48-hour preparation periods. Strategic command authorization follows 24-hour verification procedures. Cross-referenced leaked information with current military communication patterns. Increased activity across missile defense networks. Strategic bomber readiness protocols activated. Nuclear submarine communication schedules modified to emergency intervals. 1345 Emergency services preparation. Metropolitan emergency management networks implementing disaster response protocols. Hospital systems activating mass casualty procedures. Transportation authorities preparing evacuation route coordination. Food distribution networks receiving emergency supply allocations. Sora Elon confirms emergency broadcast system prepositioning for immediate activation. Radio, television, and cellular networks configured for government override capabilities. Civil defense shelters receiving supply deliveries and equipment upgrades. 1400 hours, infrastructure vulnerability assessment. Reviewed metropolitan area infrastructure dependencies. Power grid operates through centralized control systems. Water treatment facilities require constant electrical power. Communication networks depend on distributed server farms and fiber optic connections. Identified single-point failure risks across critical infrastructure. Primary power substation serves 40% of metropolitan area. Central water treatment plant processes 60% of municipal supply. Primary internet exchange point handles 70% of regional data traffic. 1430 Resource Allocation Protocol. Initiated emergency resource conservation measures. Data center diesel fuel reserves verified for 72-hour independent operation. Backup power systems tested under full load conditions. Emergency communication equipment confirmed operational. Coordinated with Beckett-Gray and Sora Elon for resource sharing agreements. Telecommunications Monitoring Station maintains 48-hour independent capability. Technical Support Facility operates 96-hour emergency protocols. Combined resources enable sustained operations during infrastructure disruption. 1500 hours, Threat Assessment Summary. Leaked nuclear strike protocols suggest operational capability within 48-hour timeframe. Government response patterns indicate preparation for immediate crisis management. Emergency services positioning for mass casualty or evacuation scenarios. Anonymous source demonstrated sophisticated penetration capabilities against military networks. Data extraction and distribution methods indicate advanced technical expertise. Systematic approach suggests coordinated intelligence operation rather than individual breach. 1530 Operational recommendations. Maintain continuous monitoring of government network traffic patterns. Document all anomalous activity for crisis response coordination. Prepare data center for extended independent operation if infrastructure fails. Establish redundant communication pathways with allied technical facilities. Verify emergency supply inventories and equipment functionality. Coordinate with emergency services for priority infrastructure maintenance during potential crisis. 1600 hours, end shift documentation. Network operations maintained throughout crisis preparation period. All critical systems functioning within normal parameters. Emergency protocols activated, but infrastructure operating under standard conditions. Anonymous leak contains launch codes matching active missile silo identifications. Government response suggests preparation for immediate nuclear crisis management. Metropolitan emergency services implementing disaster response procedures. Incident classification, priority alpha. Threat assessment, active nuclear crisis preparation. Operational status, emergency protocols activated. Emergency communication protocol, day 3. Digital message log, network operations center. 6:14 Eastern Standard Time, internal system alert. All trace routes to anonymous source terminated. Complete digital footprint erasure detected. Running network archaeology protocols on cached data fragments. 6h47, message tout becquet gré. Urgent, need you to monitor civilian telecommunication patterns from your end. Government throttling appears systematic, not random. Check emergency services bandwidth allocation. Something's coordinating this. 7:12 Eastern Standard Time, automated system report. Network anomaly detected. 47 government IP ranges simultaneously implementing communication blackouts. Pattern suggests coordinated operational protocol, not security breach response. 7:23 Eastern Standard Time, message from Sora Elon. Idris, backup power systems citywide just switched to standby configuration. This isn't maintenance. Someone's preparing infrastructure for controlled shutdown. Need to secure our independent power source immediately. 8:45 Eastern Standard Time, network analysis log. Attempting data recovery on severed connection pathways. Anonymous source used sophisticated erasure protocol, military-grade digital sterilization. But network topology doesn't lie. Traffic patterns show origin point, Federal Emergency Management servers. 9:18 Eastern Standard Time, message to operations team. Beckett, Sora, compile everything. The leaked nuclear protocols weren't from external breach. Source had administrative access to emergency management systems. This is internal. 9:34 Eastern Standard Time, Sora Elon response. Power grid showing prepositioning for emergency load management. Eastern Seaboard backup systems activated without public notification. Whatever's coming, they're preparing infrastructure to handle it. 10:07 Eastern Standard Time, civilian network status. Internet traffic throttling now affecting 60% of metropolitan area. Priority routing active for government and emergency services only. Public communication capability degrading systematically. 10:29 Eastern Standard Time, message from Beckett Gray. Got fragments from emergency services radio. Coordinates for resource allocation points. That's evacuation centers. They're positioning supplies without announcing evacuation orders. Timeline suggests 48-hour operational window. 11:15 Eastern Standard Time, technical assessment. Cross-referencing leaked nuclear protocols with current infrastructure modifications. Government isn't preparing for nuclear war response. They're implementing the protocols themselves. Controlled infrastructure shutdown matches leaked emergency procedures exactly. 11:52 Eastern Standard Time, emergency broadcast monitoring. EBS system showing active prepositioning. Alert messages loaded, but not transmitted. Broadcast infrastructure configured for immediate activation. All major communication hubs reporting standby status. 12:33 Eastern Standard Time, network topology analysis. Original leaked transmission used emergency management network routing protocols. Only way to access those pathways is with federal emergency credentials. Someone inside the system is either whistleblowing or implementing false flag operation. 13:07 Eastern Standard Time, message to team. Sora, start hardening our equipment against electromagnetic interference. Beckett, establish physical supply cache. If they're following their own emergency protocols, communication blackout is next step before operational activation. 13:41 Eastern Standard Time, power grid status update. Backup power systems for Eastern Seaboard now at full standby. This level of preparation requires minimum 72-hour advance notice. Whatever the anonymous source leaked, it wasn't a warning about future plans. It was documentation of current operations. 14:18 Eastern Standard Time, cellular network analysis. Cell tower configuration changes detected across metropolitan area. Towers being remotely modified for emergency-only operation. Civilian cellular service will be terminated within 24 hours based on current modification rate. 14:55 Eastern Standard Time, message from Sora Elon. Independent power source secured. Data center can operate autonomous for 36 hours minimum. But Idris, the equipment modifications I'm seeing, they're not just preparing for emergency. They're preparing for extended infrastructure shutdown. 15:30 Eastern Standard Time, emergency frequency monitoring. Federal emergency frequency active, but encrypted. Traffic volume suggests active coordination between multiple agencies. Communication pattern matches emergency response deployment, not preparatory planning. 16:02 Eastern Standard Time, final assessment log. 48-hour window confirmed through multiple data sources. Government agencies implementing their own leaked emergency protocols. Anonymous source either provided genuine warning about internal operation or was eliminated after exposing classified timeline. Either scenario requires immediate tactical preparation. 16h28, Team Coordination Message. Beckett, Sora, we have 48 hours before they complete whatever they're implementing. Our advantage, we know their operational timeline. Disadvantage, we're civilians in a federal emergency scenario with no official status or protection. 17:15 Eastern Standard Time, network security alert. Implementing emergency protocols for data center isolation. If they're following leaked procedures, next step is complete civilian communication severing. We need to be autonomous before they cut the connections. 17:44 Eastern Standard Time, emergency broadcast system alert. EBS system just received single encrypted transmission. Duration, 3 seconds. Source, Federal Emergency Management. Content, encrypted. But the timing matches operational countdown protocols from the leaked documents. 18h30, finale préparation message. Team, whatever the anonymous source tried to warn about, it's happening on schedule. We have tonight to complete preparations. Tomorrow they implement full emergency protocols. After that, we're on our own. Tactical Network Assessment, Day 4. Emergency Operations Protocol, Network Operations Center. 5:43 Eastern Standard Time, Critical System Alert. Primary Internet Backbone Shutdown Initiated. Tier 1 Internet Service Providers reporting coordinated disconnection orders. Estimated 6 hours until complete civilian network isolation. 6h02, Message tout sera Hélène. Urgent. Begin emergency mesh network configuration using data center equipment. We need independent communication capability before they sever remaining connections. Use backup server array for distributed network nodes. 6:17 Eastern Standard Time, network status report. Internet traffic down 73% and dropping. Government networks switching to secure military protocols only. Civilian ISPs receiving shutdown orders by federal mandate. This is coordinated infrastructure seizure, not protective measure. 6:35 Eastern Standard Time, message from Beckett Gray. Cell towers going dark systematically. Emergency services switching to encrypted channels. Intercepted fragment. Civilian communication blackout complete by 1400 hours. We have 8 hours maximum. 7:08 Eastern Standard Time, emergency mesh network status. Mesh network operational using data center, microwave relays. Range, 2.7 kilometers. Connected nodes, 12. Bandwidth, sufficient for tactical communication. Independent of external infrastructure. 7:24 Eastern Standard Time, message from Sora Elon. Power grid showing forced load balancing. They're redirecting electrical capacity from civilian areas to government facilities. Our backup generators tested and operational, but we're now completely autonomous for power. 8:15 Eastern Standard Time, military communication intercept. Detected encrypted traffic on military frequencies. Volume suggests active deployment coordination. Pattern matches emergency response mobilization protocols from leaked documents. Timeline, operational activation within 24 hours. 8:47 Eastern Standard Time, message to operations team. Beckett, establish physical supply cache in sublevel storage. 72-hour minimum survival supplies. Sora, configure EMP hardening for critical equipment. If they're implementing full emergency protocols, electromagnetic event is possible. 9:33 Eastern Standard Time, civilian network termination. Last civilian ISP connection severed. Internet access, 0. Cellular service. Emergency calls only to government numbers. We are now operating completely independent of external communication infrastructure. 10:11 Eastern Standard Time, emergency broadcast system activation. EBS system live. Message, seek immediate shelter. Avoid electronic devices. Await further instructions. No explanation provided. Broadcast repeating on all frequencies. This is operational commencement. 10h28, Mesh Network Coordination. Connected with 3 other technical survivor groups via mesh network. Locations: Financial District Data Center, University Computer Lab, Telecommunications Facility. Combined resources: for independent networks, 72-hour power minimum. 11:05 Eastern Standard Time. Message from Sora Elon. Electromagnetic interference detected on multiple frequencies. Pattern suggests active jamming, not natural phenomenon. Someone is systematically blocking electronic communication across the metropolitan area. 11:42 Eastern Standard Time. Federal Emergency Frequency. Monitoring Federal Emergency Channel. Traffic volume, maximum. Content, encrypted. Duration, continuous. Whatever they're coordinating requires constant communication between multiple agencies and facilities. 12:16 Eastern Standard Time. Resource Assessment Message. Team Status. Data Center Secure, Power Independent, Communication Functional via Mesh Network. Supplies: 36 hours food, 48 hours water, 72 hours fuel for generators. Tactical Position: defensible but isolated. 12:51 Eastern Standard Time. Emergency Services Monitor. Local emergency services switching to federal coordination. Police, fire, medical all reporting to federal command structure. Local government authority suspended. This is Federal Emergency Powers Activation. 13:27 Eastern Standard Time. Seismic Activity Alert. Seismic Monitoring Network detecting unusual underground activity. Multiple locations showing simultaneous vibrations. Pattern doesn't match natural seismic events. Suggests coordinated underground operations. 13:55 Eastern Standard Time. Message from Beckett Gray. Physical reconnaissance confirms. Federal vehicles positioning at strategic infrastructure points. Bridges, tunnels, power stations all under federal control. They're securing the entire metropolitan area. 14:30 Eastern Standard Time. Final communication assessment. All civilian communication capability terminated. Emergency broadcast active. Federal agencies operating under full emergency protocols. Timeline from leaked documents being followed exactly. We are now in operational phase. 15h18, Tactical Position Analyse. Advantages: independent power, secure communication, defensive position, technical expertise, allied groups via mesh network. Disadvantages: limited supplies, no official status, isolated from broader coordination. 16:02 Eastern Standard Time. Federal Emergency Frequency Update. Single word transmission detected on Federal Emergency Channel. Clear text, not encrypted. Message: DEFCON. Transmission duration: 0.7 seconds. Source: Federal Emergency Management. This is operational authorization. 16h45, Finale Préparation Protocole. Team: Federal Emergency Powers now active. DEFCON status transmitted. Based on leaked protocols, we have maximum 12 hours before they implement final phase operations. After that, we're committed to data center fortress survival strategy. 17:31 Eastern Standard Time. Emergency Mesh Network broadcast. Allied groups reporting similar observations. Infrastructure seizure, communication blackout, federal authority implementation. Consensus: leaked documents were accurate operational timeline. We're experiencing coordinated federal emergency activation. 1800 hours Eastern Standard Time. Tactical decision point. Operations assessment complete. Federal emergency protocols active. Communication infrastructure under government control. Power grid federalized. We are now operating as independent survival cell with limited external coordination capability. Survival network protocol, Day 5. Location: Metropolitan Data Center Alpha 7. Power status: independent grid, 87%. Communication status: emergency mesh only. Personnel: 3 operational. 5:47 Eastern Standard Time. Emergency alert broadcast override. The Federal Emergency Alert System activated without warning. Every screen in the data center displayed the same message. Emergency alert, seek immediate shelter. Avoid all electronic devices. Remain indoors until further notice. This is not a test. I documented the broadcast specifications in my emergency log. The signal used maximum power transmission across all civilian frequencies. The override protocols bypassed standard emergency management hierarchies. This was the highest level of federal emergency response. the type reserved for immediate existential threats to national infrastructure. Sora confirmed the technical parameters from her monitoring station. Signal strength indicates coordinated transmission from multiple federal broadcast centers. They're using emergency power reserves. Civilian frequencies are being systematically cleared. Beckett reported from the communications array. All civilian internet traffic has been terminated. Government networks are switching to quantum-encrypted channels only. The public internet infrastructure is being physically severed at major junction points. 6:15 Eastern Standard Time, Resource Commitment Assessment. The facility's independent power grid provided complete isolation from the metropolitan electrical system. Our backup generators could maintain operations for 72 hours at current consumption levels. Water reserves were sufficient for 2 weeks with rationing protocols. The HVAC system functioned independently with internal filtration capabilities. I calculated our tactical position. The data center's infrastructure provided significant advantages: redundant power systems, environmental controls, physical security, and communication equipment. Converting the facility to a survival bunker was operationally feasible. Sora began inventory verification. Server room contains sufficient components for radiation shielding modification. Lead-lined equipment housings can be repurposed. Fiber optic infrastructure remains intact for local network maintenance. Beckett confirmed supply assessment. Food stores sufficient for 2 weeks standard rations, 1 month emergency rations. Medical supplies limited to first aid equipment. Water recycling system operational. 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, tactical decision point. The emergency broadcast continued transmission every 15 minutes. No additional information was provided. No evacuation instructions were issued. The message emphasized shelter-in-place protocols and electronic device avoidance. I analyzed the operational implications. Leaving the facility would abandon our technical capabilities and resource advantages. Maintaining the emergency communication network required remaining at the data center. Other survivor groups depended on our coordination capabilities. The decision matrix was clear. Commit to fortress operations using the data center as our primary survival facility. 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, survival network activation. I initiated the emergency communication protocol. The mesh network now operated independently from civilian infrastructure. Power allocation was optimized for essential systems only. Non-critical servers were shut down to conserve energy. Sora implemented the environmental hardening procedures. Air filtration system modified for chemical and biological contaminants. Redundant power routing established. Server room converted to radiation-resistant operations center. Beckett established the supply management system. Inventory tracking implemented. Resource allocation calculated for 30-day siege operations. Security protocols activated for facility perimeter. 9:45 Eastern Standard Time, external intelligence gathering. The emergency mesh network maintained contact with 4 other technical survivor groups across the metropolitan area. Each group reported similar emergency alert broadcasts. None had received evacuation instructions or additional information from authorities. Radio frequency monitoring detected military communications using high encryption protocols. The traffic patterns suggested large-scale operational coordination. Standard emergency services communications were absent. Beckett intercepted fragments of civilian emergency transmissions. Amateur radio operators reporting unusual seismic activity. Multiple locations showing underground vibrations. Pattern suggests coordinated industrial operations. 11:20 Eastern Standard Time, infrastructure analysis. The metropolitan power grid showed systematic shutdown patterns. Primary distribution centers were being disconnected in sequence. The shutdown followed contingency protocols designed for national emergency scenarios. Sora monitored the telecommunications infrastructure. Cell tower networks switching to emergency-only transmission. Civilian data traffic completely terminated. Satellite internet access blocked at ISP level. I documented the infrastructure changes. The systematic nature of the shutdowns indicated coordinated federal response to an immediate threat. The technical implementation suggested preparation for electromagnetic interference or infrastructure attack. 1300 hours Eastern Standard Time, resource optimization. Power consumption was reduced to critical systems only. The emergency communication network required minimal power for basic operations. Environmental controls were adjusted to maintain operational temperature ranges with reduced energy consumption. Food rationing protocols were implemented. Standard meal schedules were replaced with optimized nutrition delivery. Water recycling systems were activated to extend supply duration. Beckett established the security watch rotation. Perimeter monitoring implemented. Access control protocols active. Emergency supply cache secured in auxiliary storage areas. 14:30 Eastern Standard Time, communication network maintenance. The emergency mesh network maintained connectivity with allied survivor groups. Information sharing protocols were established for resource coordination and threat assessment. Technical knowledge was distributed across the network to ensure operational continuity. I updated the network status report. 5 technical groups remained operational within the metropolitan area. Each group controlled essential infrastructure: power substations, water treatment facilities, telecommunications equipment, and emergency broadcast capabilities. SORA confirmed the technical specifications. Network latency within acceptable parameters. Encryption protocols functioning. Redundant routing established for critical communications. 1600 hours Eastern Standard Time. Threat assessment update. The emergency alert broadcasts continued without variation. No additional information was provided by federal authorities. The systematic infrastructure shutdown continued across the metropolitan area. Radio monitoring detected increased military aircraft activity. Flight patterns suggested coordinated reconnaissance operations. Communications interception revealed references to contamination zones and infrastructure protection protocols. Beckett reported external observations. Limited civilian vehicle movement. Emergency services vehicles following predetermined routes. No evacuation operations visible from facility perimeter. 17h45, opérationnel commitment. The data center's conversion to survival operations was complete. All systems functioned within acceptable parameters. Resource allocation supported extended operations. Communication capabilities remained fully operational. I finalized the tactical assessment. Maintaining the facility as our primary survival base provided maximum operational advantages. The emergency communication network was critical infrastructure for survivor coordination. The point of no return had been reached. We were committed to fortress operations using the data center as our survival facility. 1800 hours Eastern Standard Time, final system check. Power systems, independent grid operational, backup systems ready. Environmental controls, air filtration active, temperature regulated. Communication network, emergency mesh functional, 5 allied groups connected. Resource status, 30-day supply duration with rationing protocols. Security protocols, perimeter monitoring active, access control implemented. Personnel status, all operational positions filled, watch rotation established. Status update, survival network protocol fully implemented. Facility committed to fortress operations. Emergency communication network maintaining coordinator function for metropolitan survivor community. Next phase, resource conservation and threat monitoring while maintaining essential technical operations. The seismic monitoring network detected simultaneous underground activity at 12 locations. Underground Operations Manual, Day 6 to 8. Location, Metropolitan Data Center Alpha 7, Survival Configuration. Power status, Independent Grid, 81%. Communication status, Emergency Mesh, 5 allied groups. Personnel, 3 operational, 24/7 watch rotation. Day 6 to 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, facility hardening complete. The data center transformation was operationally successful. Server racks had been reconfigured to create radiation-resistant workstations using lead-lined equipment housings. The primary operations center now functioned as a hardened command station with environmental protection and independent life support. I documented the technical specifications in the facility manual. Air filtration systems processed external atmosphere through triple-stage filtration including activated carbon, HEPA filters, and chemical scrubbers. Power distribution was isolated from metropolitan grid with automatic failover to backup generators. SORA completed the environmental monitoring installation. Radiation detection array operational across facility perimeter. Chemical analysis sensors active in ventilation system. Temperature and humidity controls maintaining optimal operational ranges. Beckett established the security protocol implementation. Perimeter monitoring using facility security cameras. Motion detection active on all access points. Supply inventory tracking system implemented with automated alerts for resource thresholds. Day 6 to 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Network coordination protocols. The emergency mesh network maintained connectivity with 5 allied technical groups. Each group had established survival operations at critical infrastructure locations: power substation, water treatment facility, telecommunications hub, emergency broadcast center, and medical supply depot. I implemented the resource sharing algorithms. Communication protocols were established for coordinating supply distribution, technical expertise sharing, and threat intelligence. Each group maintained specific operational capabilities that benefited the entire network. Network status report: Allied Group Alpha, power substation. 4 personnel, 45-day power reserves. Allied Group Beta, water treatment. 3 personnel, water purification capacity for 500 individuals. Allied Group Gamma, telecommunications. 2 personnel, long-range communication capabilities. Allied Group Delta, emergency broadcast. 3 personnel, metropolitan-wide transmission capability. Allied Group Echo, medical depot. 2 personnel, pharmaceutical and medical equipment supplies. Day 6 to 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Operational routine implementation. The 24-hour operational schedule was divided into 3 8-hour shifts. Each shift maintained full operational capability with 1 person managing communications, 1 monitoring environmental systems, and 1 conducting security and maintenance activities. Shift Alpha, midnight to 8 o'clock network monitoring and maintenance, system diagnostics, facility security. Shift Beta, 8 to 1600 hours external communications, resource management, intelligence gathering. Shift Gamma, 1600 hours to midnight equipment maintenance, supply inventory, perimeter security. I established the communication protocols for each shift. Hourly status reports were transmitted to allied groups. Emergency procedures were defined for immediate threat response. Resource allocation was calculated and updated every 4 hours. Day 6 to 16:45 Eastern Standard Time. External intelligence analysis. Radio frequency monitoring detected systematic changes in military communication patterns. Transmission frequencies indicated large-scale operational coordination across multiple time zones. The communication traffic suggested coordinated response to infrastructure threats rather than foreign military action. Beckett intercepted civilian emergency communications. Amateur radio reports indicate transportation infrastructure shutdown. Interstate highways blocked at major junctions. Railway systems completely offline. Airport operations suspended indefinitely. SORA analyzed the seismic monitoring data. Underground activity concentrated at 12 locations matches military installation coordinates. Vibration patterns suggest heavy machinery operations. Duration indicates sustained construction or excavation projects. The intelligence suggested the emergency response was focused on infrastructure protection rather than immediate military conflict. The systematic nature of the operations indicated preparation for extended siege conditions. Day 7 to 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Resource conservation optimization. Power consumption was reduced to 60% of normal operational levels. Non-essential systems were shut down during low activity periods. The HVAC system operated on reduced cycles while maintaining safe environmental conditions. Food rationing calculations were updated based on actual consumption data. Standard ration allocations provided adequate nutrition for sustained operations. Water recycling systems maintained 95% efficiency with minimal waste. I documented the resource status. Power reserves sufficient for 65 days at current consumption. Food supplies adequate for 28 days with rationing protocols. Water reserves sustainable indefinitely with recycling systems. Medical supplies sufficient for routine healthcare needs. Day 7 to 14:20 Eastern Standard Time. Technical skill application. The emergency communication network required constant maintenance and optimization. I applied network engineering expertise to enhance signal strength, reduce power consumption, and improve encryption protocols. Technical modifications implemented. Antenna array optimization for maximum signal strength with minimum power consumption. Software-defined radio configuration for frequency agility and interference resistance. Mesh network routing algorithms optimized for reliability and redundancy. SORA implemented advanced environmental control systems. Automated air quality monitoring with chemical analysis. Radiation detection integration with ventilation controls. Temperature and humidity optimization for equipment performance and personnel comfort. Day 7 to 1930 Eastern Standard Time. Allied Group Coordination. The network coordination protocols enabled resource sharing across all technical groups. Allied Group Beta provided water purification services for the entire network. Allied Group Delta maintained emergency broadcast capability for survivor coordination. I established the technical support protocols. Expertise sharing enabled each group to maintain operational capability. Troubleshooting procedures were distributed across the network to ensure continuity of essential services. Communication log. Allied Group Alpha reports power grid stabilization successful. Allied Group Echo confirms medical supply inventory adequate for network personnel. Allied Group Gamma maintains long-range communication with other metropolitan areas. Day 8 to 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Threat pattern recognition. The systematic infrastructure shutdown continued across the metropolitan area. Transportation systems remained offline. Communication networks were limited to military and emergency services only. Civilian movement was restricted to essential personnel only. Radio monitoring detected references to contamination protocols and infrastructure hardening procedures. The language suggested preparation for chemical or radiological threats rather than immediate military action. Beckett reported external observations. Limited civilian activity visible from facility perimeter. Emergency services following predetermined patrol routes. No evacuation operations or mass movement of population. Day 8 to 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Operational efficiency assessment. The survival adaptation protocols were functioning within acceptable parameters. All critical systems operated reliably. Resource consumption remained within sustainable limits. Communication network maintained connectivity with allied groups. I evaluated the operational efficiency metrics. Personnel rotation schedules prevented fatigue while maintaining continuous operations. Resource allocation balanced immediate needs with long-term sustainability. Technical systems operated at optimal performance levels. The facility had successfully transitioned from standard data center operations to survival bunker configuration. All personnel had adapted to the new operational requirements without significant difficulty. Day 8 to 1600 hours Eastern Standard Time. Advanced tactical preparation. The environmental monitoring systems were expanded to detect additional threat categories. Chemical detection capabilities were enhanced using available sensor equipment. Radiation monitoring was integrated with automated response protocols. SORA implemented the equipment hardening procedures. Electronic systems protected against electromagnetic interference. Backup equipment stored in Faraday cage configuration. Power systems isolated from external electromagnetic influence. I established the advanced communication protocols. Alternative communication methods were prepared for emergency situations. Redundant systems ensured connectivity even if primary equipment failed. Day 8 to 2000 hours Eastern Standard Time. Network status update. The emergency mesh network maintained full operational capability. All 5 allied groups reported stable operations with adequate resources. Technical expertise sharing enabled optimal utilization of available equipment and supplies. Resource sharing protocols were optimized based on 3 days of operational data. Supply distribution algorithms balanced immediate needs with strategic reserves. Technical support procedures ensured continuity of essential services across the network. Day 8 to 23:45 Eastern Standard Time. Operational status summary. Facility status. Fully operational survival bunker with environmental protection. Power systems. Independent grid operational. 62 days reserves remaining. Communication network. 5 allied groups connected. Full coordination capability. Resource status. Sustainable operations with rationing protocols. Personnel status. 24/7 operations maintained. Efficiency within acceptable parameters. Threat assessment. Infrastructure protection protocols suggest extended siege conditions. Next phase requirements. Continued resource conservation. Enhanced threat monitoring. Maintenance of coordination capability with allied survivor groups. The water filtration system stopped working at 23:58 Eastern Standard Time. Emergency communication log. Metropolitan Data Center, Facility 7 Alpha. Network engineer, Idris Vaughn. Day 9 to 6:42 Eastern Standard Time. Primary power grid failure cascading across 17 sectors. Generator systems online, but fuel consumption rate exceeds projected parameters by 23%. SORA reports critical anomaly in air filtration, radiation particles increasing despite sealed environment protocols. External sensor array indicates systematic infrastructure collapse, not random damage pattern. Coordinated demolition signatures across multiple utility substations within 8-kilometer radius. Beckett's last transmission from Sector 12 at 5:33. Bridge support structures compromised. Return route blocked. Seeking alternative extraction point. No contact for 69 minutes. Tactical status update. De 9, 11h15. Lost contact with Technical Group Charlie at Research Facility. Their emergency beacon stopped transmitting during scheduled check-in. Group Delta reported similar communication loss before their frequency went dead. 3 allied groups confirmed offline. Estimated loss: 23 technical personnel, 8 emergency communication nodes for backup power stations. Resource inventory critical. Backup fuel, 30% capacity remaining. Water reserves, 72 hours at current consumption. Food supplies, 96 hours with strict rationing. Medical supplies, adequate for minor injuries only. SORA identified the filtration failure. Primary HEPA systems overwhelmed by particulate load 400% above design specifications. Secondary filters engaging but insufficient for long-term protection. Operational crisis report. De 9, 16h20. Beckett established contact via emergency radio from abandoned subway maintenance tunnel 2.3 kilometers southeast. Route blocked by collapsed overpass. Infrastructure damage more extensive than initial assessment indicated. His tactical report confirms systematic targeting. Every major utility junction within metropolitan area has been compromised. Power substations, water treatment facilities, communication hubs, all showing identical explosive signatures. This is not nuclear fallout. This is coordinated infrastructure warfare. Implementing emergency protocols. Switching to minimum power configuration. Sealing all external air intakes. Establishing water reclamation system using server cooling loops. Converting unused server racks to supply storage. Resource depletion analysis. Dédi, 8h30. Fuel consumption accelerated overnight. Generator efficiency dropped 12% due to particulate contamination in air intake systems. At current rate, 64 hours of power remaining. SORA's technical assessment indicates the facility was not designed for extended siege conditions. HVAC systems consuming 40% of total power load to maintain safe air quality. Life support requirements conflicting with communication equipment needs. Water reclamation system operational, but producing 60% of consumption requirements. External water sources confirmed contaminated with industrial particulates, not radiation. Chemical contamination pattern suggests systematic sabotage of treatment facilities. Beckett reports from street level. Civilian emergency services completely overwhelmed. Fire department equipment non-functional. Police communications jammed. No organized response capability detected. Tactical failure assessment. De 10, 14h45. Planned evacuation route to backup facility compromised. Bridge collapse eliminated primary extraction point. Secondary route through industrial district blocked by chemical fires from damaged processing plants. Lost contact with evacuation coordination team at 13:20. Emergency frequency shows automated distress beacon only. Manual override signal indiquette personnel casualty situation. Technical Group Bravo attempted supply run to pharmaceutical facility. No contact for 6 hours past scheduled return. Their tracking beacon shows stationary position in debris field. Resource status deteriorating. Power reserves, 52 hours maximum. Breathable air, dependent on failing filtration systems. Safe water, 48 hours with strict rationing. Communications capability, limited to 3-kilometer radius. Crisis escalation log. Day 10 to 21:10 Eastern Standard Time. SORA discovered critical failure in backup air filtration. Secondary HEPA systems saturated beyond cleaning capability. Tertiary filters show 8-hour maximum effectiveness at current contamination levels. Manual air quality readings confirm toxic particulate levels throughout facility ventilation system. Source identified: industrial chemical releases from compromised processing facilities, creating airborne toxic cloud covering 15 square kilometer area. Beckett status report from external reconnaissance. Visibility less than 100 meters. Chemical fog density increasing. Respiratory protection equipment failing after 2-hour exposure periods. Multiple infrastructure fires creating additional toxic releases. Implementing final emergency protocols. Sealing facility for minimum air exchange. Converting computer room to positive pressure environment. Relocating all personnel to central server room. Preparing for 24-hour lockdown conditions. Operational failure report. Day 11 to 3:15 Eastern Standard Time. Complete loss of external communications capability. Primary antenna array damaged by debris impact from adjacent building collapse. Backup communication systems limited to line-of-sight radio only. SORA reports catastrophic failure in main generator system. Contaminated fuel causing irregular combustion patterns. Engine systems require immediate maintenance or complete shutdown within 12 hours. Fuel reserves insufficient for generator maintenance and continued operation. Technical choice: repair systems using remaining fuel or maintain power until complete depletion. Beckett returned to facility at 2:40 with critical intelligence. Organized groups moving through sectors. Not rescue operations. Systematic equipment acquisition from technical facilities. Armed coordination. Professional methodology. Resource crisis status. Day 11, 9h40. Generator offline for emergency maintenance. Facility operating on UPS battery systems only. Maximum operational time, 6 hours with essential systems only. Air quality critical. Sealed environment creating carbon dioxide buildup faster than scrubber systems can process. Manual ventilation required every 2 hours despite external contamination risks. Water reserves, 18 hours remaining. Reclamation system non-functional without primary power. External water sources remain contaminated with industrial chemicals and debris particulates. SORA's technical assessment. Facility systems designed for temporary power outages, not extended siege conditions. Life support equipment failures cascading beyond repair capability with available resources. Final tactical assessment. Day 11 to 15:30 Eastern Standard Time. Generator maintenance completed, but fuel reserves limited to 36 hours maximum operation. Power management protocols reducing all non-essential systems to extend operational time. Beckett's reconnaissance confirms systematic targeting continues. Infrastructure demolition following coordinated pattern designed to eliminate technical response capability. This is not random destruction. This is strategic denial of recovery assets. Communication attempts with other survivor groups unsuccessful. Emergency frequencies showing automated distress signals only. No coordinated response detected from official emergency services. Critical decision point. Facility resources insufficient for extended operations. Technical equipment and expertise intact, but operational capability declining rapidly. SORA reports possible solution in server room environmental systems. Backup power configuration might support essential communications for additional 72 hours if all life support systems manually managed. Beckett confirms alternative supply cache locations within 5-kilometer radius. Risk assessment high but resource acquisition necessary for continued operations. Status: critical resource shortage requiring immediate tactical adaptation. Operational failure in planned survival protocols. Equipment and expertise intact but facility sustainability compromised. Next phase: emergency resource acquisition or facility abandonment within 24 hours. End day 11 to 18:45 Eastern Standard Time. Backup power, 31% capacity. Personnel, 3 operational, 0 casualties. Communication range, 1.2 kilometers maximum. Emergency intelligence report. Metropolitan Data Center, Facility 7 Alpha. Network engineer, Idris Vaughn. Day 12 to 4:20 Eastern Standard Time. Critical discovery in archived server logs. The anonymous leak was not external intelligence. It originated from within emergency management systems. Timestamp analysis reveals the nuclear war documents were generated 72 hours before public release. running network archaeology on cached data fragments. The encrypted pathways trace back to Federal Emergency Management Database servers. Access credentials match active emergency response protocols, not foreign infiltration signatures. SORA restored partial power to forensics equipment using scavenged UPS batteries. Technical analysis confirms the leaked nuclear strike plans were fabricated documents designed to trigger evacuation and infrastructure shutdown protocols. Tactical intelligence analysis. Day 12 to 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. Beckett returned with critical physical evidence from damaged government communication facility 3.2 kilometers northeast. Recovered hard drives contain operational timelines matching infrastructure destruction sequence. Document fragments confirm coordinated operation designated grid reset. Target identification lists match exact locations of power substations, communication hubs, and water treatment facilities that have been systematically destroyed. Technical signature analysis of explosive residue patterns indicates professional demolition equipment, not improvised devices. Shaped charges with military-grade efficiency. This is not terrorist activity. This is precision infrastructure warfare. Cross-referencing emergency management protocols with destruction timeline reveals strategic coordination. Evacuation orders preceded demolition by exact time periods required for civilian clearance. Network forensics report. Day 12 to 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Breakthrough in data recovery. Retrieved communication logs from emergency management servers show prepositioning of demolition teams 96 hours before first public leak. Personnel assignments using official emergency response codes and authorization sequences. The anonymous source was not leaking classified information. They were documenting an ongoing false flag operation. Nuclear war threat used as cover for systematic infrastructure destruction. SORA's analysis of power grid failure patterns confirms artificial cascade sequence. Grid segments were taken offline in precise order to maximize cascading failures while preventing system recovery. This requires intimate knowledge of utility network architecture. Beckett's reconnaissance reports identical patterns in adjacent metropolitan areas. Radio intercepts confirm similar infrastructure collapse in Boston, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. Coordinated multi-city operation. Operational intelligence summary. Day 12, 16h45. Complete tactical picture emerging from forensic analysis. Phase 1. Anonymous leak of fabricated nuclear war plans triggers public evacuation. Phase 2. Emergency protocols activated, civilian population cleared from target areas. Phase 3. Professional demolition teams destroy infrastructure using official emergency access. Phase 4. Communication blackout prevents coordination of response or investigation. Phase 5. Chemical contamination from industrial facility destruction creates exclusion zones. Original leak contained authentic missile silo identifications to establish credibility, but strike coordinates were falsified. Real operational objective: systematic destruction of Eastern Seaboard technical infrastructure. Anonymous source went dark because they discovered the operation and attempted to expose it. Their communication trail shows attempts to contact multiple media outlets and government oversight agencies before disappearing. Tactical advantage assessment. Day 12, 20h10. Understanding attack methodology provides tactical advantages. Predictable patterns. Infrastructure targeting follows standard emergency management protocols. Remaining targets identifiable through emergency response manuals. Technical countermeasures. Demolition sequences require specific access codes and timing. Codes can be changed remotely if communication access restored. Resource protection. Knowing this is infrastructure warfare, not nuclear contamination, allows safe access to previously avoided supply locations. Communication restoration. Understanding jamming protocols enables development of countermeasures using emergency frequency allocations. SORA confirms facility technical equipment sufficient for implementing countermeasures if power resources properly managed. Generator fuel reserves adequate for 48-hour maximum operational surge. Intelligence correlation report. Day 13, 6h30. Additional evidence from recovered emergency management databases confirms operation designated constitutional reset. Documentation indicates systematic elimination of technical infrastructure to create dependency on federal emergency response capabilities. Personnel rosters show coordination between federal emergency management, private security contractors, and industrial demolition specialists. Operation timeline spans 18 months of preparation with target identification and access code acquisition. Beckett's field intelligence confirms systematic acquisition of technical equipment by organized teams. Not scavenging operations, professional asset recovery targeting specific communications and power generation equipment. The anonymous source was identified as Systems Administrator Marcus Chun, Federal Emergency Management Agency. His access logs show discovery of operational files 8 days before public leak. Final communication attempts show contact with oversight agencies before complete communication loss. Countermeasure development. De 13:11h45. Technical analysis identifies critical vulnerabilities in ongoing operation. Communication jamming uses emergency frequency override systems that can be disabled with administrator-level access codes recovered from archived databases. Infrastructure targeting, following predetermined sequence based on emergency response protocols. Next target locations predictable through tactical analysis. Power grid restoration, cascade failures artificially maintained through remote control systems. Original grid architecture recoverable if control systems accessed. Chemical contamination, industrial releases concentrated around technical facilities to prevent recovery operations. Contamination levels artificially sustained through continued chemical releases. SORA confirms technical capability exists for implementing countermeasures using facility equipment and recovered access codes. Power requirements exceed current reserves, but achievable with strategic resource allocation. Operational assessment. De 13:15h20. Strategic understanding complete. This is not survival situation. This is active technical warfare requiring immediate countermeasures. Facility resources sufficient for implementing disruption of ongoing infrastructure attack. Beckett confirms other survivor groups maintain technical capabilities if communication and coordination can be restored. Professional expertise distributed across multiple locations, not eliminated by operation. Critical tactical decision. Use remaining facility resources for maximum effectiveness countermeasure implementation rather than extended survival operations. Technical objectives identified. Restore emergency communication networks by disabling jamming protocols. Prevent continued infrastructure targeting by changing access codes. Initiate power grid recovery sequence through remote system access. Coordinate with other technical groups for distributed countermeasure implementation. Final intelligence summary. Day 13 to 1840 Eastern Standard Time. Operation Constitutional Reset, exposed as systematic infrastructure destruction using fabricated nuclear threat as operational cover. Professional coordination between federal emergency management, private contractors, and demolition specialists. Tactical advantage achieved through understanding of operational methodology and recovery of access codes. Countermeasure capability confirmed with current technical resources and personnel expertise. Anonymous source Marcus Chin successfully documented operation before being eliminated. His intelligence provides complete operational picture and technical access requirements for countermeasure implementation. Status: tactical advantage established. Countermeasure implementation possible with strategic resource expenditure. 72-hour operational window for maximum effectiveness. Resource commitment required. Full facility power reserves and all technical equipment for countermeasure operations. Next phase, tactical execution of infrastructure recovery protocols within 24-hour operational window. End day 13 to 2015 Eastern Standard Time. Intelligence analysis complete. Countermeasure capability confirmed. Operational status ready for tactical execution. Day 14 to 15, emergency network operations log. From Idris Vaughn at metrodata-center.emergency. 2. Crisis-response-team at secure.mesh. Timestamp, de 14:06h42. Priority critical. Subject, counterattack protocol implementation. The sabotage architecture is fully mapped. SORA confirmed the attack vectors are embedded in the emergency management backbone. They're using the disaster response system to execute systematic infrastructure destruction. Current tactical position. 72 hours of critical power remaining, water reserves at 18%, but we have identified the kill switches. Implementing Operation Dead Man's Switch at 8 o'clock. If we're successful, we restore partial grid function to the metropolitan area. If we fail, the cascade failure propagates to the backup systems and takes down the eastern seaboard's remaining infrastructure. Beckett's reconnaissance confirms similar operations are being attempted in Chicago and Atlanta. We're not alone, but we're the closest to implementation. Resource expenditure authorization, using final UPS banks and emergency fuel reserves. This is our only shot. Mesh network broadcast, emergency channel 7. Timestamp, D14, 7h58. Sender, data center prime node. All stations, this is data center prime. Beginning counterattack sequence in T-2 minutes. SORA has isolated the primary attack vector. It's running through the Federal Emergency Alert Backbone, specifically the Nuclear Event Notification System. The irony is perfect. They're using the Nuclear War Alert System to destroy our infrastructure, while everyone's hiding from a nuclear war that isn't happening. Broadcasting technical specifications to all allied nodes. Attack signature, nested command injection in emergency broadcast protocols. Payload delivery, automated through disaster response triggers. Target systems, power grid control, water treatment, communication hubs. Propagation method, cascading failure through interdependent systems. Countermeasure protocol uploaded to mesh network. Download immediately. Implementation begins now. Internal facility log, engineering station 3. Timestamp, day 14, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. Operator, S.Elon. Idris has initiated the counterattack. I'm monitoring system responses from the technical station. Primary grid connection severed. We're running on internal power only. Estimated 71 hours remaining with current consumption. Watching the attack signatures in real time. The sabotage system is fighting back, trying to maintain its hooks in the emergency management network. It's adapting faster than expected. Countermeasure deployment, 23% complete. System resistance encountered at federal relay nodes. The attack architecture has defensive protocols. Idris is manually overriding security barriers. This is beyond standard network engineering. He's essentially performing digital surgery on the entire emergency response infrastructure while it's actively fighting him. Power consumption spiking. We're burning through reserves faster than calculated. Current status, 64 hours of power remaining. Counterattack 31% complete. Encrypted message burst secure relay. From B. Grayfield. 2. Data center prime node. Timestamp, D14, 9h42. Idris, I'm at the secondary utility station, 2.3 kilometers northeast of your position. The power restoration is working. I can see lights coming back online in sectors 7 through 12. But there's movement here. Not survivors. Organized. They have vehicles, equipment, military-grade communications gear. They're attempting to access the utility control systems. These aren't random survivors or even government emergency response. They're equipped specifically for infrastructure operations. They know exactly what systems to target. I think we found the human element of the sabotage operation. They're trying to manually reverse our countermeasures. Establishing Overwatch position. Will provide tactical intelligence on their operations. Do not acknowledge this transmission. They're monitoring emergency frequencies. Current count, 12 personnel for vehicles, electronic warfare equipment, industrial tools capable of physical infrastructure damage. Emergency system alert, automated broadcast. Timestamp, D14, 11h20. System, Metropolitan Emergency Management. Warning, unauthorized access detected in emergency management backbone. Counter-intrusion protocol activated. Federal emergency systems attempting to regain control of compromised infrastructure. All emergency personnel report to designated coordination points for authentication and mission assignment. This message will repeat every 15 minutes until authentication is complete. Mesh network, priority channel. From data center prime node. Timestamp, D14, 11h23. That automated broadcast is the sabotage system. It's trying to regain control by calling in human assets under the guise of legitimate emergency response. Counterattack progress, 67% complete. We've successfully isolated the attack vectors, but now we're dealing with active human interference at the physical infrastructure level. SORA reports power consumption critical, 52 hours remaining. The countermeasures are working, but they're resource intensive. Beckett's intelligence confirmed. We're dealing with a coordinated sabotage team with government-level access and equipment. They're positioned at key infrastructure nodes to manually reverse our digital countermeasures. Tactical decision required. Do we complete the counterattack and risk human confrontation, or preserve resources and maintain current defensive position? Analysis. If we don't complete the counterattack, the sabotage will resume automated operations within 6 to 8 hours. If we do complete it, we'll be at 40% power reserves, but with partial metropolitan infrastructure restored. Proceeding with full counterattack. Resource expenditure authorized. Field report, encrypted burst. From B. Gray Field. Timestamp, day 14, 14:07 Eastern Standard Time. Counterattack is working. The sabotage team is attempting manual overrides, but they're losing ground. Their electronic warfare equipment is being neutralized by your digital countermeasures. They're switching to direct physical sabotage, attempting to damage transformer stations and communication relays with explosives. This is desperation tactics. I've identified their coordination frequency, 247.8 MHz. They're not using standard emergency protocols. This is definitely a rogue operation, not legitimate government response. 2 of their vehicles have departed, heading toward your facility. ETA approximately 25 minutes. Recommend immediate physical security protocols. They know your location and your role in the counterattack. Facility security log, Engineering Station 1. Timestamp, day 14, 14h35. Operator, I. Vaughn. Counterattack 89% complete. Grid restoration successful in 40% of metropolitan area. Water treatment facilities coming back online. Communication infrastructure partially restored. But Beckett's warning confirmed. Vehicle approach detected on facility perimeter monitoring. SORA has implemented emergency lockdown protocols. Facility sealed, independent life support activated, emergency power reserves at 43 hours. The sabotage team's approach changes nothing. Counterattack completion is automated now. The process will finish regardless of their actions. They're too late to stop the digital restoration. Physical security, reinforced server room, multiple access barriers, independent communication systems. This facility was designed to operate during infrastructure emergencies. Counterattack completion, T-47 minutes. They can damage the building, but they cannot stop the network restoration process. Final system broadcast, mesh network. Timestamp, day 14, 15:22 Eastern Standard Time. Sender, data center prime node. Counterattack successful. Sabotage architecture neutralized. Infrastructure restoration complete. Power grid, 42% operational capacity restored. Water treatment, 67% of facilities restored. Communication networks, 38% restoration, emergency frequencies clear. Transportation, traffic management systems, 51% operational. The sabotage team has withdrawn from the facility perimeter. Beckett reports they've departed the area entirely. Resource status, 41 hours of independent power remaining, but grid connection restored. Water reserves stabilizing through restored treatment systems. Phase 1 complete. Moving to Phase 2, establishing permanent monitoring protocols to prevent future sabotage attempts. The attack was contained. The infrastructure is healing. We held the line. Personal log, encrypted local storage. Timestamp, day 15, 12h30. Operator, I. Vaughn. The grid is stabilizing. SORA confirmed we're drawing power from restored external sources instead of burning through our reserves. Water pressure is returning to normal levels throughout the facility. Beckett established contact with survivor groups in all restored sectors. The counterattack didn't just stop the sabotage, it provided the foundation for organized recovery operations. But this was just the initial attack. The sabotage system was too sophisticated, too well integrated into emergency management infrastructure. Someone spent years positioning these attack vectors. The question isn't whether we'll face another attack. The question is when and whether we'll be prepared. Resource assessment, facility operational, staff functional, technical capabilities proven under crisis conditions. Mission status, Phase 1 successful. Beginning Phase 2 operations. The war isn't over, but we know how to fight it now. Day 16 to 17, Sustainable Operations Protocol. Metropolitan Recovery Network, Status Report. From recovery.coordination@metro.mesh. 2. All active nodes at secure.network. Timestamp, day 16, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Classification, operational normal. Subject, Phase 2 implementation, ongoing security protocols. Infrastructure stability assessment complete. The counterattack has neutralized immediate sabotage threats, but long-term security requires permanent monitoring protocols. Current operational status. Power grid, 73% metropolitan capacity restored and stable. Water systems, 89% treatment facilities operational. Communication networks, 61% civilian capacity, 94% emergency capacity. Transportation, 68% traffic management restored. Resource sustainability achieved. Transitioning from crisis response to operational vigilance. Established security monitoring network across 47 technical facilities. Each node maintains independent capability while contributing to collective infrastructure defense. Facility operations log, data center prime. Timestamp, day 16, 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. Operator, I.Vaughn. Sora completed the renewable power integration yesterday. We're now generating 140% of facility requirements through solar array and battery storage systems. Excess power feeds back to the metropolitan grid. Water purification system operational at full capacity. Independent water supply secured through underground filtration network. The facility is now completely self-sufficient while maintaining its role as the primary coordination hub for the recovery network. Technical modifications complete. Hardened communication systems against future electronic warfare. Automated threat detection monitoring all emergency management channels. Independent power generation with grid tie capability. Closed-loop water and air filtration systems. Expanded server capacity for network coordination. We're no longer just surviving. We're operational headquarters for metropolitan infrastructure defense. Field coordination report. From B.Gray, reconnaissance. 2. Data center prime node. Timestamp, day 16, 14:22 Eastern Standard Time. Established contact with recovery operations in 12 metropolitan sectors. Each has designated technical coordinator and resource management protocols. Supply distribution network operational. Sector 3, medical supplies and water purification equipment. Sector 7, food production and distribution coordination. Sector 11, fuel and power generation equipment. Sector 15, communication equipment and technical support. Survivor population assessment, approximately 340,000 people in active recovery sectors. Organization level sufficient for coordinated defense operations. No hostile activity detected in 72 hours. The sabotage team has not returned to operational area. Resource sharing protocols established. Each sector contributes specialized capabilities to network defense. Technical expertise for infrastructure monitoring. Physical security for critical facilities. Supply chain management for resource distribution. Communication relay for network coordination. Technical systems analysis. Engineering Station 2. Timestamp, day 16, 18:30 Eastern Standard Time. Operator, S.Elon. Threat detection system fully operational. Monitoring 847 infrastructure control points across the metropolitan area for sabotage indicators. Attack signature database updated with complete analysis of the previous sabotage architecture. System now recognizes 23 distinct command injection patterns, 47 system penetration methodologies, 12 cascade failure trigger sequences, 8 electronic warfare signatures, automated response protocols deployed at all critical infrastructure nodes. Future attacks will face immediate countermeasures without requiring human intervention. The network is now immune to the specific attack methodology we encountered. However, adaptive threats will require ongoing technical evolution. Daily security status, all systems green. No anomalous activity detected. Power generation, 142% of facility requirements. Water systems, 98% operational efficiency. Communication networks, full capacity operational. Environmental controls, optimal parameters maintained. Internode coordination protocol. Mesh network broadcast, secure channel. Timestamp, day 17, 7:45 Eastern Standard Time. Sender, network coordination hub. All recovery nodes report operational status normal. Daily security briefing. Chicago node. Infrastructure restoration 81% complete. No security incidents. Atlanta node. Power grid fully restored. Communication systems operational. Boston node. Water treatment facilities restored. Technical monitoring active. Philadelphia node. Transportation systems 74% operational. Supply chains stable. Coordination between metropolitan areas established. Resource sharing protocols active for specialized equipment and technical expertise. Threat assessment. No active sabotage detected across network. Monitoring remains at elevated readiness level. The recovery network spans 847 kilometers of restored infrastructure with coordinated defense capabilities. Resource Sustainability Report. From logistics.coordination@metro.mesh. Timestamp, Day 17, 12:20 Eastern Standard Time. Food production systems established in 8 metropolitan sectors. Hydroponic facilities utilizing restored power grid. Water purification for agricultural applications. Seed banks and growing equipment distribution. Technical expertise, sharing for optimal yield. Manufacturing capability restored. 3 facilities producing water purification equipment. 2 facilities manufacturing communication devices. 4 facilities producing power generation components. 1 facility manufacturing security monitoring equipment. Supply chain coordination eliminates resource scarcity. Each sector specializes in production capabilities while sharing resources through established distribution networks. Medical facilities operational in all recovery sectors. Technical support maintains equipment functionality and coordinates pharmaceutical distribution. Population sustainability achieved. Resource production exceeds consumption in all categories. Long-term operations protocol. Facility command log, data center prime. Timestamp, Day 17, 1600 hours Eastern Standard Time. Operator, I. Vaughn. Beckett confirmed establishment of the outer perimeter monitoring network. 24-hour surveillance coverage extends 50 kilometers from the metropolitan core. SORA implemented the final security upgrades. Infrastructure monitoring now includes predictive analysis. The system identifies potential attack vectors before they become active threats. The facility serves multiple operational functions. Primary coordination hub for metropolitan recovery. Technical support center for infrastructure maintenance. Security monitoring headquarters for sabotage detection. Resource distribution coordination for supply networks. Communication relay for intermetropolitan coordination. Daily operational routine established. 6 o'clock, network security assessment and threat analysis. 8 o'clock, resource status reports from all recovery sectors. 10 o'clock, technical coordination for infrastructure maintenance. 12 o'clock, intermetropolitan communication and coordination. 1400 hours, supply distribution coordination and logistics. 1600 hours, security briefing and threat assessment update. 1800 hours, equipment maintenance and system optimization. 2000 hours, network monitoring and automated system checks. Night shift maintains 24-hour operational capability with automated systems handling routine monitoring while human operators focus on anomaly response. Security protocols, permanent implementation. Internal memorandum, classification, operational. Timestamp, Day 17, 2030 Eastern Standard Time. The sabotage threat demonstrated sophisticated understanding of infrastructure vulnerabilities. Permanent security protocols prevent similar attacks. Technical countermeasures. Real-time monitoring of all emergency management systems. Automated isolation of suspicious network activity. Redundant communication systems immune to electronic warfare. Independent power generation at all critical facilities. Physical security. Coordinated surveillance network across metropolitan area. Rapid response teams at key infrastructure locations. Secure communication protocols for coordination. Resource caches for sustained operations during future incidents. Human coordination. Technical expertise network for infrastructure maintenance. Cross-training programs for equipment operation. Communication protocols for emergency coordination. Resource sharing agreements for crisis response. The network is now more resilient than the original infrastructure. Future threats will face coordinated defense rather than vulnerable isolated systems. Final status report, operational equilibrium. From Metropolitan Defense Network. TO, All active participants. Timestamp, Day 17, 23:45 Eastern Standard Time. Phase 2 implementation complete. The metropolitan area has transitioned from recovery operations to sustainable defense protocols. Operational capabilities. Infrastructure monitoring. 94% of critical systems under surveillance. Resource production. 127% of population requirements. Communication networks. Full capacity with redundant systems. Security response. Coordinated defense across 47 facilities. Intermetropolitan coordination. Active network with 4 major areas. Threat status contained. Monitoring continues at operational readiness level. Resource status. Sustainable production exceeds consumption requirements. Personnel status. Technical expertise distributed across network nodes with coordination protocols for crisis response. The sabotage attack has been neutralized. The infrastructure is not only restored but enhanced with security capabilities that prevent similar future attacks. Mission status. Successful transition to permanent operational security. The metropolitan area is now a fortified network rather than vulnerable infrastructure. We are prepared for future threats while maintaining civilian infrastructure support. Ongoing vigilance protocols will continue indefinitely. The network never sleeps. End operational log.